I'm gonna ask you a pretty serious question. What do you think it would take to make you feel fulfilled? Most people are absolutely slaves to their biology. And the thing is, society tells them they're free. But really, they're trapped in dopamine loops that make them dumb, weak, and frankly, unworthy of respect. Hey guys, welcome to Thoughts by Keeks and welcome back to my bedroom. We are back in the home base. I've pretty much decided that I like filming in my bedroom the best. I think it's the most cozy for me and it helps me feel the most comfortable, which means you guys in turn get the most authentic version of me. So that's gonna be a thing now. Hey guys, welcome back to Thoughts by Keeks and welcome back to my bedroom. Majority of us are absolute slaves to our biology and society wants it that way. So if you're watching this video and thinking, Keeks, what on earth are you talking about? Like, everyone tells us that this is how we're supposed to live. Society tells us this is how we're supposed to live. I know, I'm fully aware of that because they want you to be a slave to your biology and a slave to your desires. It sounds really controversial, but guys, I promise if you hear me out, you will understand what I'm saying. So as I said, we're a slave to our biology. The next relevant question that anyone would ask when faced with this statement is, okay, what was our biology designed for? Our biology was designed for survival, food, safety, and reproduction. When your brain is rewarding you with dopamine, when something feels good to you, that is not because you're doing something honorable or doing something that is truly fulfilling for you. It may feel fulfilling in the moment, that's the dopamine, but really, your brain is just applauding you for surviving. Your biology doesn't care if you're wise, fulfilled, or honorable. It only cares that you survive and you get the basics of food, safety, and reproduction. So picture this, right? You're sitting there, Greek goddess, getting fed grapes. You have 17 husbands and you live in a fortress surrounded by a moat. Is that going to make you feel fulfilled? Or is that just scraping the bare knuckle necessities of surviving? Because survival may give you pleasure, right? It may give you that dopamine loop. But what gives you fulfillment in life is meaning. Having meaning behind everything you do, having a purpose. Call me a conspiracy theorist, call me crazy, but I think the main cause of the uprising of mental health issues in today's society is that survival is so easy. There's no challenge behind survival. And what happens when that survival is so easy? You become trapped. You crave it. And I'm not just talking about you crave to be alive. Everyone craves to be alive. Everyone craves to be breathing. Most people at least. When you don't have to work for the things that give you dopamine, for example, when society gives you junk food, pornography, drugs, social media, they are hijacking your brain. They are hijacking your dopamine systems and your survival instinct and making you think that these are the things that make you feel fulfilled and happy in life. But in reality, it's not happiness. It's a reward chemical and nothing more. We have infinite access to this stuff. All these things that hit the three main survival instincts, and they sell a chemical addiction to you dressed up and packaged as meaning. For example, indulge. You deserve it. Indulge. You've been working so hard. You deserve it. Indulge in it. It will make you happy. That is the lie that they are selling us. You may think, Keeks, you're acting like a real crazy conspiracy theorist right now. Why do they sell us this lie? Convince me. Okay, because weak, distracted people are easy to sell to, easy to control, and too numb and hooked to a dopamine addiction to resist. This comfort that you get from porn, this artificial reproductive instinct fix, the comfort you get from junk food, there's a reason why they call it comfort food. When someone's broken up with you, you're sitting in front of your TV eating ice cream. It's because it gives your brain that dopamine. It's not because you're actually healing. That is the most normalized response to a breakup. To sit at home, watch a show, probably a romantic show because it's going to simulate that connection that you're craving and flood your nervous system and your brain with dopamine. Our brain craves sugar because calories were scarce. Our brain brain craves connection so that we can reproduce. And this self-preservation instinct to be accepted by the masses so that you can be protected, that is why people will sit in cognitive dissonance and agree that is the leash. Actually, leash is an incorrect descriptor. That is the noose around your neck that keeps you enslaved. There is a cost to this, guys. There is a cost. It is such a blown out of proportion positive because there is equally as much of a negative to succumbing to this. Your core human nature, your will to survive, is perverted, corrupted, and exploited to keep you weak. There's a cost. This isn't just, okay, let me just live in dopamine land for the rest of my life. There's a cost to this. You lose your ability to focus. You lose your ability to think clearly. And you lose your self-respect. You have no self-control. You're not thinking about what you can create in life. You're not thinking about doing the best thing for the best outcome. All you're focused on doing is succumbing to your urges. You'll lose self-respect. Society sells you this lie that this is what it means to be fulfilled, and then you're left with no self-respect, and what do? You mask it with more porn, more meaningless hookups, more junk food, more social media, more retail therapy. It doesn't stop. Dopamine is the cause and dopamine is the solution. It is this endless loop of suffer, succumb, suffer, succumb. And while you're succumbing, you're still suffering. It's not going to fill that void. I know you feel, if you're relating to this, I know you feel that void. What's funny about this, because you think you can live your life, you can continue living your life in this fashion and go along and keep succumbing to your dopamine. Guess what? One day nothing's going to be enough. Dopamine is a drug to your brain. You know it. I know you've seen it online. And now I'm telling you, dopamine is like a drug to your brain. You build tolerance to the dopamine. Once you're watching 2 porn videos a day, you're gonna need 10 to get to the same destination. You're gonna need more shitty food. You're going to need to binge on shitty food to feel that same amount of dopamine. It is never going to stop. And the more of these things you need to trigger a dopamine response in your brain, the less alive you are going to feel. And what happens when you're living in this dopamine loop and you lose self-respect? Something needs to give. Something needs to overcompensate. So what is that going to be? Your ego. You're going to need to get that hit of fulfillment, of meaning, of reward from an adrenaline rush of fighting with someone, that bravado you get from a superiority complex. You're going to lose your autonomy, you're going to lose your self-respect, but you're also going to lose your humility. All of those things is what makes someone worthy of being respectable and honored as a person. At this point of the video, I've probably scared the shit out of you, and I'm sorry for that, but you're probably like, how do I break free? If this is such a addicting spiral and society is designed to exploit that, how do I break free from it? And it's actually surprisingly very simple. You go against it. Everything that dopamine feedback loop in your brain tells you to do, go against it. Do the exact opposite. If biology says to avoid discomfort, chase discipline. I don't want to go to the gym because I'd rather just be at home and scroll. Go to the gym. Strengthen your anterior mid-cingulate cortex. I've explained in another video what that is. If you want me to do a full video just on the AMCC, I can do that because it is actually amazing. We have a muscle in our brain that we can strengthen that helps with problem solving, discipline, and learning. Just as the more you succumb to this dopamine, you're going to get more roped in, and it's going to be easier to succumb to that dopamine. The more you succumb to your anterior mid-cingulate cortex, the more you practice discipline, the more you practice self-restraint, the easier it's going to get as well. If your biology is telling you play it safe, that could also boil down to the psychological aspect of you are lying to yourself and to everyone around you to be accepted. That's also your survival instinct, wanting to be accepted and wanting to be protected by the herd. Resist it. Sacrifice emotional safety, sacrifice the dopamine, sacrifice the need to be liked for something greater. Your truth, honor, authenticity. I've seen way too many people going the other way, following a bandwagon, following a crowd just so they can be accepted, berating people and being nasty human beings just to avoid social exile. What are you doing? What are you doing? You know you're a fraud. If you're sacrificing who you are and speaking your truth and speaking your opinion to be liked, if you're sacrificing hours out of your day to scroll on your phone, if you're sacrificing human connection to watch porn, if you're sacrificing your health to give into your sugar cravings and your binge eating, you know you're a fraud. You feel it. So do something about it, because you are going to live with that guilt, and it's progressively going to get harder and harder and harder to dig yourself out of that hole. So start now. What excuse is there? The only excuse, if you're listening to me and you're going, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know, not for me. That is your survival instinct. That is not real. That is not reality. That is bullshit. And that is what society preys on. Guys, I don't know if I've showed this boy on camera before. I've definitely showed Sage. This is Kingston, otherwise known as Pin. Because, yeah. Are you a slave to your biology? Are you a slave to your urges? Yes, you are, because you're an animal. And humans think it's okay, but they don't realize they're not animals. And they have a way bigger brain to body ratio than you. And they can control it, yet they're belittling themselves down to animals. Don't smack me, I know it's offensive, but if it offends, it applies, Pin. If it offends, it applies, baby. Once you're resisting and once you're getting in control of yourself, you're in control of your biology, that's where you get meaning. Or quite frankly, that's where you have the mental space to find meaning, to find purpose. All I'm saying right now is you're a slave, you're a slave, you're a slave, yada, yada, yada. What does freedom actually look like? What does freedom actually look like, Keeks? What does it look like? Because right now you're telling me there's a better option out there, but I can't conceptualize the better option, because for my whole life, I've been taught that freedom is copious amounts of money. I've been taught that's freedom. What does freedom actually look like? Freedom looks like self-mastery, choosing to chase purpose over chasing pleasure, choosing to sacrifice your initial momentary desires for a greater purpose, having a greater goal in mind, chasing meaning over impulse, self-mastery, being fully aware of what your survival instinct is telling you you want and ignoring it. By the way, if any of you are watching this and thinking, oh, she's telling me to ignore my biological cue that I'm hungry and that I'm thirsty and that I need to take a shit. No, no. I mean that biological yearning. I need junk food. That's what I'm talking about. Things that necessarily aren't required to live. It's not, I'm hungry, I need food. That's a physical cue. I'm talking about your mental cravings. And you know that. You are capable of discerning what is a good choice and what you just want for your dopamine. So what does self-mastery look like? Wanting something, craving something, and purposely resisting, because you know there's a greater goal, there's a greater purpose for what you're doing. What happens if you continue this cycle? You'll become dumber, weaker, and emptier by the day. You will require more things to stimulate the exact same dopamine response. And then eventually, anything outside of watching porn, scrolling, eating junk food will feel so mundane, it'll be like a pain to get it done. Why do you think so many people can't clean their room, can't do the dishes, can't go for a shower, can't brush their teeth? Our parents were right when they're like, it's those damn phones. Our parents were right. They were right. And it's when we have that drip-fed dopamine pushed onto us by society so that we can be numbed and we can be controlled and we can be sold to and exploited while we're here feeling empty. The contrast of that dopamine fix and normal, necessary, everyday life things is so huge. You will not be able to get anything done. You keep going down this path, you do it, but you will become dumber, weaker, and emptier, and you won't be able to do anything any normal person can do. And I'm not just saying doing dishes will bore you, because who doesn't get bored by doing dishes? It will feel painful, because while you're doing the dishes, you have to step away from the thing that is drip feeding you this dopamine. The more you indulge, the more you sacrifice. And what are you sacrificing? Fulfillment, meaning, happiness, honor, respect. Do you want to live like an animal? Do you want to live like Pin Pin, where when he needs to shit, he'll shit? and he's constantly hunting around the house for food, completely oblivious that he is just a little animal, slave to his survival instincts. Do you want to live like that? Or do you want to create something beautiful and something meaningful and do something purposeful and precious with your life? You need to start resisting your survival instincts. Thank you for watching this video, guys. It was a bit of a scream, I'm sorry. And as a full disclaimer, I suffer from this too. Everyone suffers from this. Everyone has some type of addiction. It's just, unfortunately, the things that are classed as an addiction are normalized in society, and when people think of addiction, they think of just simply drugs. Anything you physically cannot stop yourself from doing, and if you do, it is hell, mental turmoil. That's an addiction. That is a false idol, and it will control your life. Subscribe to me. Feel free to berate me in the comments if you don't agree. I'll reply. And like this video if you got some value from it, if it woke you up. I don't know if you can hear it, but I was screaming at the camera so much that my voice is dying. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. Have the best week, and I will talk to you next week. Get off your phone now.